on to the 34th season in 2010, which was only 10 years ago. And that was Tensou Sentai Goseiger, or something along those lines. It's actually not even what they do for the roll call. It's part of the ending theme dance. So I should probably note that I watched this in October of 2019, and let's just say I had a lot of things going on. I actually had some part-time gigs going, so I got pretty busy, and I was starting to fall off my original plan of 2 seasons a month, and it took a while to actually watch through Goseiger, so maybe I missed a few things, and unfortunately that would continue true for the next several seasons, which, yes, I did manage to finish all those seasons in the span of 2 months. Don't ask. So I don't really have a lot of experience with this season in terms of Power Rangers. So I know Mega Force and Super Mega Force aren't exactly the highest regarded Power Ranger seasons, but they did try to go back to their roots with the teenagers with attitude and production issues and things like that. I thought the actors and actresses were good. It's just, it was rushed and all that stuff. So I actually don't have a lot of previous experience with this season. There were still things I liked, and definitely still things that threw me off. I did think the angel setting that they all had was interesting, kind of playing on the guardian angel. And maybe I missed it, but I didn't really. Sometimes I kind of forgot they were supposed to be those guardian angels that no one can really see. I feel like maybe they didn't emphasize that enough. But again, my watching consistency wasn't exactly the greatest, so maybe I missed it. It's kind of interesting that they had a land, ski, and sky tribes, and it would have been cool if they could have explored a little bit more of that, but given that they have a premise where they can't go back, which I'll get more into later, it kind of makes sense that they can't explore it that same way. But it was kind of cool that you kind of have a different factions within the team. So you have the Sky Tribe, who is red and pink, and then the Land Tribe, who are black and yellow, and then the Sea Tribe, who is supposed to be blue and green, but green it actually dies before the season starts, which they never adapted in Power Rangers. I at least know that much. Oh, and black and yellow are siblings. So they're kind of able to do something with there's a little bit of tension because, not because they're racist or discriminatory, but because, certain characters have more history with each other, and then there's different levels of trust within the team, and it actually leads itself to a pretty interesting dynamic, at least in the first half. They all come from different places, but they're still all working towards the same goal, which, now that I think about it, is actually pretty relevant for when I'm going to talk about my favorite episode. But again, I'll get to that when I get there. Gosei Knight. Gosei Knight's pretty cool. Gosei Knight's, I didn't know that it wasn't going to be someone who was going to morph into Gosei Knight. Gosei Knight is its own thing, and I wonder if he counts as an extra hero or as a 6th Ranger. According to the wiki, it says he's considered as a 6th Ranger. And something that I thought was kind of funny was that the person who voices Gosei Knight is Katsuyuki Konishi, and he actually voices Kamina from Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. And Metal Alice, who is on the villain side, is actually voiced by Marina Inoue, and she voices Yoko Littner, also from Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. Even though they don't really do anything like in terms of having those two characters as rivals. It's kind of interesting that they both make an appearance in this. That's just something for me. Onto the things that kind of threw me off. I was really thrown off by how similar the setting is to Gingaman, and in terms of certain aspects. Okay, so for instance, they're both part of like a secret village or tribe, and they can't return home, and then they had to live with a boy and his father, and then as an added bonus, for some reason Red can't draw. There are some tweaks. For instance, in Gingaman, the father knew that they were rangers. In Goseiger, they tried to hide it for the longest time before their mentor kind of had to take over the father's body to communicate them because of events that happen. I see this again in the current season, Ryu Soldier, and it wasn't until I was compiling my notes and that I actually realized, like, oh, I saw this earlier in this season, and when I got back around to talking about Gingaman, I was able to expand on it a little bit more, and I was thinking about it. Just an interesting side note. This is kind of one of the earlier iterations of that kind of collectible, like sort of power, and not that. And I think for me, what defines it as a collectible power is that it's more than just collecting mechas or collecting gear. They have different, like, not disposables, but different little inserts that go into their devices that not only help them morph, but actually use different abilities other than being able to morph and being able to summon their mechs. They can use it to use an ability. For instance, the Sky Tribe can cause a tornado, Land Tribe can cause an earthquake, and Water Tribe can do a tidal wave or something. And even though stuff like Goseiger and Shinkenger, they had their own like inserts that went into their devices, it was only to power up a weapon. I would say it doesn't really count for Shinkenger because they have the Shotophone to morph and they have their secret discs that they use on their swords. So I feel like that kind of doesn't count. And then in terms of Goseiger, the souls were only used to morph or communicate and summon the mechs. They didn't use it for an additional ability. So the Goseigers kind of had a more developed iteration of that sort of collectible kind of power. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it actually comes from Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider is kind of the one that started the whole collectible power-ups thing. I'm not sure which one, but I think they're kind of the ones who started it. But I would like to expand on that more when I get to the very end of the series, and I'll be able to talk about it more. Given that this was the 34th season, that means that this was the 35th year that Super Sentai was in production. It was either after the credits or like they had some kind of special bonus OVA or something, where they did like highlights and the history run-throughs of all of the crossover movies between all the Super Sentai. And it started with Ranger versus Ranger, and they just kept going through them, and it was like done in 2 parts each. And I think the cast would dress up in like the uniforms of the previous Sentai, and that's all I know. I know that they did it, but I didn't watch it because I didn't watch the any of the crossovers or the Versus series. But I'm hoping to eventually watch it, when I eventually get around to watching all of the crossover and Versus series. So I guess just into my favorite episode, or epic 34, Goseiger Night Justice. It's actually the second of a two-part episode where Goseiger Night officially joins the team. Yeah, even though he already started making an appearance in Epic 17 or episode 17, he didn't officially join the team until 34. And what I mean by actually joining the team is he finally comes around to wanting to work with the Goseigers, because at first he saw them as kind of only getting in the way, and part of that is because, well, for one thing, because he's not human, he doesn't really understand that. So I guess a bit of background. So I already said that he's not human, but he's actually a mech, and he's the mech in Ranger form, because during some big battle the mech was lost, or it got like stuck, and tens of thousands or even millions of years pass, and then it's able to concentrate its power and embody itself as a ranger-like hero, and it can talk, and it can move and stuff like that. But because it didn't grow up human, it's things that it doesn't quite understand. And the mission of the angels, and the angels, the mission of the Goseigers and the world where they come from as guardian angels is to protect the earth. But the Goseigers' mission is actually but the Goseigers keep trying to work to protect humans, and Goseiger Night is like conflicted, because he's not afraid to let humans die and stuff like that to protect the earth. I think the villain side kind of tries to get in his head a little bit, and they tell him like, it's actually humans who are destroying the earth, and Goseiger Night kind of gets conflicted that if humans are destroying the earth, then there's no need to protect them, better to just let them die off. So Goseiger Night, with the help of their friend Nozomu, he eventually comes to the conclusion that protecting humans and protecting the earth are actually the same mission. They're one and the same, because even though humans are the problem, they can also be the solution. So a little bit of existentialism, or I don't know if that's the right word, but kind of that otherworldly feeling of feeling small and trying to fight for the world and stuff like that. And something interesting about this is that normally the Rangers always have to convince the villain why they're fighting for what they're fighting for. In this case, even though they didn't do it directly at Goseiger Night, because he was kind of just on the sidelines watching everything go down, they were kind of convincing him, like, this is why we fight. And then, they're actually convincing another hero who's supposed to be on their side of why they should, fight and protect people the way that they do. So it's just kind of a different, it's just something different. But then, when I came back around and I was talking about King Command, I actually made the connection, like, oh, other than the setting, this is actually pretty similar to Bull Black, or the Black Knight, and where he's completely okay with, like, destroying the earth for the sake of exacting revenge. But then, he has a change of heart at some point, and you know, he kind of remembers that, there's other planets, other people that need to be saved, and he has a change of heart. And I kind of saw a similarity with that between Black Knight and Gosei Knight, other than the fact that they're both knights. So that was a fun mini revelation for me, and just another similarity that I felt that Ginga Man had actually put down. So I forgot to mention this before, but one of the things I liked was the main villain's backstory. And the way they did it was a little weird at first until you find out what happens. And in Goseiger they actually have like different groups of villain groups show up, and it's not even like how they did it in Ginga Man or Bokenger, where they're like all under one thing, and then you have different generals. This is like different distinct groups, but then they have one person who is going from one group to the next, and eventually the Rangers start to pick up on this. Like, why does this guy look familiar? Or, oh man, he survived. I thought we destroyed him. And then, the big twist, the big revelation is that he was a former angel, much like the Goseigers. And then he actually serves as a foil to Gosei Knight, because when he found out and put together that humans were the problem and were the ones destroying the earth, he was okay with moving forward to trying to destroy humanity for the sake of the earth and eventually just his own enjoyment. And then Gosei Knight was actually able to go towards the right path, much like the Goseigers. So I think I finally figured out the importance of why I thought it was interesting that Gosei Knight is voiced by the same character who plays Kamina. Because in this episode, the way he jumps in and protects the Rangers after coming to the realization that protecting humanity and protecting the earth are one and the same, he kind of scolds them in the same way that Kamina does. Like, the only thing that was missing was, punching them in the face and telling them to grit their teeth.